Hey, Scott and I are live. We are broadcasting, and we're just uh, talking about some of the usual stuff. Scott just sent me some logos.
I was going
How
to
long?
ask.
How long do those take you?
I didn't do them. The logo
Oh,
did them.
I didn't read that. I should
Yeah.
have. I should have read it closer.
Well, I may not have been very clear.
Well, I just said, okay, here's something to download. He wants me to look at it, and I just assumed it was going to be your art.
No,
But
it
I
is.
like them. I think. Are you supposed to help them pick it,
I
or have they
no,
decided?
no. I picked it. There's no
Okay.
just. Well, okay. So, are you looking at the? I can't see your screen. You have
Oh
it
no,
up?
I'm starting to draw. I've got them in my mind. You want me to see if I can share them?
No, no, no. I'll pull them up. I'll my iPad, I think,
Okay,
and
I
I'll.
can I can share a screen. I
Uh,
think I'll share the miscellaneous, the grab bag one.
yeah. Share the four. Share the four.
Yeah,
And I'm looking at them. So, tell me when you got them up, and I'll because I
this
want to talk
this
about.
this nearsightedness only fixed by reading glasses is the world's most irritating thing.
All
Okay,
vision problems are irritating. Don't
yeah.
get.
See what we got here. Okay, share.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I always, we do this once a week. So, like me not knowing how to do something, big deal.
yeah, no big deal.
I'll figure it out here.
Uh,
Go ahead, say anything you want.
uh, Tell me what's up because I want to talk about them.
Oh,
Are you going?
today, my day, you're always asking. I'll just go ahead and preempt you and tell you what I did today. I went for a walk, and then I bought something from Harbor Freight a long time ago,
Yeah.
which I haven't used nearly enough, which is a air compressor for filling my tires up.
Oh yeah.
Now, if anybody ever buys an air compressor and the limit on it is a hundred, whatever pounds per inch, think about that before you do it, because after all, you're going to want 40 in your tires. So you're going to want to, if you want to be able to walk around your car and do the job, you're
Yeah.
going to want to have a little surplus air pressure.
You
And
want how much?
what?
What? How much in your tire, Ellis?
Well, about 40.
Okay. I keep 32 in mine.
32, maybe I ought to have 32.
It's well, you got a truck, but
Yeah, I got a truck. I better check that. I
it
always
says on
have it annoys me to death trying to find the pressure on the sidewall of the tire.
no, it's
I
on your door.
just is it on my door?
Open your driver's side door, and there's a sticker inside the door frame. It's either on the
Okay.
door or the frame. It's right there by your door handle,
Uh-huh.
and it'll tell you the recommended pressure.
Huh. Okay. I'll do that.
I,
Oh, here
so
we go.
so when it was cold, I was driving home one day, and I don't when it's cold. I did like 14 degrees. My tire light came on my car, and so I pulled off, and there had to be a tire place there, and I ran in, and the guy said, "Well, it's probably just cold," and he looked at it, and he said, "I think you just to air them up. You should be okay." And I found an on cue by my house on the way home in Bethany
Uh-huh.
that you go up to it and you punch in what you want your air pro, and it's set at 35 normally, I
Oh,
think,
okay.
but it's real cold, so I put it on
I'm
32,
gonna thanks
and you
for
put it on,
yeah,
and
go ahead.
stop when, it'll automatically stop when it's full.
Cool. That is cool. Hey,
Yeah,
Scott, you're glitching
yeah.
real bad. Do you think there's anything you could do about your battery life in
Give me
some way or other, or something? I don't know.
let me see. I'm not seeing anything.
Okay,
Normally,
that sounds really good. All of a sudden,
You know what? I had a memo up where you had sent me an email, and
Uh-huh.
I deleted it. I mean, I didn't delete it, but I deleted the pop up. So that may have
Okay.
been it. That may have
You
been
think
it.
so? Just well, that may have been getting in the way. Anyway, I've got your logos up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So here's what I wanted to say about them. Oh, now I can't open them for some reason.
Well, I got them open. You can study them.
Okay. So I was sent these over the weekend, I think, or early in the week, and these are the possible logos for my comic. I immediately rejected. Well, first off, I said I don't want an upside down cross on my logo.
Yeah, I was going to say Scott did an upside down cross. That's that'd be kind of
Yeah.
rough on a guy's sensibilities.
Yeah.
So you got the upside down cross on a couple of them.
And well, and I okay, so I hated the one on the bottom left. I don't like that at all, even without the upside down cross. So
Yeah.
that's the one next to it with the other upside down cross. I didn't mind so much if you take the cross off, but
Right.
it's the one
Yeah.
above that on the upper right. I thought was okay, but I don't like the C. That C's I don't know if it's a font or he drew it. That C and reject. It doesn't look like it's weird.
Yeah.
I love.
Well, it looks like an angel's wing.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, go ahead.
It's
It's a designed font though, because the S is consistent with the C. You just wanted that C to swoop around a little bit more on the lower part, I imagine.
Yeah, maybe. I like the one on the upper left though. I think it looks. The book has kind of a humorous tone. I mean, and I say humorous tone like Hellboy kind of has a humorous tone. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh yeah. It's got an attitude, and yeah.
I like that. Well, one thing, that font is Euro style. That's my favorite font. Ever since art school, that's been my favorite font. That's the font that Portia uses in the pages. But I like the font. I like the. My only concern was that the tail might interfere too much with the cover. Art.
Yeah. If it's you could design kind of around it or whatever.
The same guy. I think the same guy that did the covers or did the logos is going to do the covers. So
cool.
He could put it behind it or wrap it around. There are ways to work around it.
I hope you get a kick-ass cover on this. This will be quite a package. I can really see that on a comic book. That particular logo.
Open one. Did you open the other one I sent you? The modified.
Sure.
One.
Oh yeah, it makes it a little more. Makes it a little fatter.
That's the. I said, well, let me modify it and tell me what you think. And I added a black outline and a drop shadow. Honestly, if we do this one, we should probably lighten up the red just a little bit.
Yeah, that's anyway. Yeah. You ought to get something that gives you WYSIWYG in terms of like what's it going to print like, for one thing, which I don't know how to do.
Yeah.
CMYK.
Yeah.
Expertise. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah. The only thing I see there's a lot of fill going on, of course, with your space in the letters, but that's all right. It's still readable. It just it may threaten to turn your E's into something a little less easy to read. But and it might turn your S into a little.
Well,
but
we'll see
it's as read, it will be readable.
Yeah, the red needs to be lightened up a little bit on that one, I think.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But anyway, that was kind of cool because at this point it's like, oh, this is a real thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you see that cover finally, wow, that's going to be something. Or hopefully it'll be something. If it horrifies you, I guess that's also something.
Yeah. Well, I'm not doing the covers. He's got another guy's doing the covers, and he keeps I can't find. I'm friends with the guy on Facebook, but I can't find where he's putting any of his art up. So I don't know what they. It's
You've
like
got no idea what to expect, huh?
I have no idea what to expect. He said it's kind of more computery looking.
Hmm.
So I don't.
Interesting.
You know, I'm. He trusts the guy, and so he said the guy's real
Well,
bad about. You need it on Thursday, he'll give it to you. Wednesday late. You know,
uh-huh.
but the
Well,
color. I've got all the first issue. Well, you saw that last week. First issue
yeah.
is, and so I'm assuming she's working away on issue 2. It really looks good. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like I can't imagine being where you're at in terms of like having that much work about to hit the market, man. That's great.
Oh, yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, because it's like, holy cow! This is, I mean, because I've worked so long at this thing.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
Like, God, is it ever going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And it's happening, dude.
Yep.
Now he has submitted it to be put on the schedule, and really, it's a question of is it early or late in the year?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. But I'm very happy with everything at this point. You know,
Just came about from a New York Comic Con, right?
yeah. I talked to a guy. I went to New York and I gave him and I would advise this to anybody that's at a big convention or a small convention. Really, walk around if you're an artist or a writer looking for work or looking for something. Go to do it. I went to every single booth, Ellis, that
Mm-hmm.
and if they sold comics, I mean not sold comics, but if they made comics, I would just ask them, or do are you hire artists? Are you looking for artists? Are you looking at portfolios? And
You're chatting them up. That's what you're supposed to do. I was never. I always acted like it. What? How do I crack this mystery? I have no idea who to talk to, but you solved it by just saying, "Okay, here I am."
one of my
Anybody that'll answer a question is somebody that might hire me.
yeah, well, it was just by and I always had my portfolio out and ready, and it's like, hey, do you hire art? As I always ask them, do you hire artists? Are you looking at portfolios? Are you taking drop offs? I always had plenty of drop offs. And one guy said it just so happened the publisher, well, they said, oh, you need to talk to Travis, who's like the owner of Source Point Press. He said, oh, you only talk to Travis, and so he said, hey, come around here, and we talked, and we talked a long time about what I was, and I told him, I said, I said, I have a good job. I'm not looking necessarily for a page rate. I said, but
Mhm.
I like my work. I mean, and he said, I like your work. He said, it's hard to tell exactly what you can do, even based off samples. But he said, I like what you got. And
Mhm.
he said, what you need to do is you need to find a writer that you can work with. He said, because, a lot of writers, you got to find a writer at the right. And I thought this was great advice. He said, you have to have a writer that's at a level that you're at in terms of like, I'm not a DC Marvel guy, but somebody that maybe has a publishing track history, a track record. He said, there's plenty of guys. Because I told him, I said, well, I've worked on tons of stuff that just never goes anywhere.
Mhm.
And he said, well, yeah, because, the hardest thing is getting a project done and getting it out there. And
Yeah.
he said, you need to find the right writer. He said, there's a lot of writers that can't, they're good and they can put out work, but they don't necessarily have the ability to pay an artist a page rate. And I said, well, I don't care about that because I've done a bunch of stuff that I got paid for. It's never been published, and so it doesn't help me any.
Yeah.
So he said, well, you need to find. And he told me, under writer. I said, can I? Is it okay if I talk to your writers here? Would you have a problem with that? He said, no. He said, you know what? I know just the guy you need to talk to, and he gave me Greg's information. And he said, tell him that that we talked and that I told him that you should contact him.
Mm-hmm.
And I contacted him, and it was bad because he gave me his Twitter, and so I couldn't send him a Twitter since he didn't follow me. I couldn't send him a DM.
DM, yeah.
And so I just said, hey, you don't know me, but Travis told I met Travis at New York Comic Con, and he said I should email you, or that I should contact you about working on a project. And so then and I said, I'm here in New York. I'll call you when I get back. And
so you did that just as a message in Twitter,
yeah,
or a reply to some of his comments or whatever. Yeah. But you know what? It's weird. You might have just checked DMing. Some people don't close that off in their press. One of the funny ones I think that doesn't close it off is Michael Malice. Anybody can contact him with DMs, which is, I think, he just likes to mock people, I guess.
I could not. I tried to DM. I couldn't DM him. But
okay. Sorry.
when I called him, we talked, and I would hold this up as an example of what anybody should look for if they're in this situation where they're trying to contact a writer. Maybe they've met online or something, and they're like, hey, we want to work together. I called him, and he he rattled off about 9 ideas for story, and in varying stages. So he was working on stuff, and I took that as a good sign. And the one I liked best was Heaven's Rejects. He rattled it off, and then we talked about, he rattled it off in the midst. I said, well, I like that one. That sounds interesting. And so he started giving me some more. I said, go back to that one. And he had a couple I rejected for various reasons. There was one that literally was named the same thing as a book I'd been hired to draw that never got published. And I was like, I like this idea. I said, but I'm leery of it because it's very similar to something else I've already worked on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid it'll cause me trouble in the long run.
Yeah. Oh, you mean you thought somebody that knew you very well would come along and say, hey, did you feed this to this guy? Or whatever?
Yeah. I was absolutely concerned about that. I mean,
was it the New Orleans one, or something involving New Orleans?
No. This was something that had kind of a checkered history. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
And the guy and I are still friends. It just never got published. And he paid me for my work, but I didn't want it to be like. I mean, the title was the same, and the concept was very similar. And I was just like, I like your idea, but I worked on a book that is very similar, and I don't think I think I need to be careful about that,
Mm-hmm.
Because this in particular, I mean, this person that I did this with is actually, I consider him kind of a friend versus somebody I met on the internet. I mean, there are people I've worked with that I could care less about, but he wasn't one of them. He's somebody that I don't really want to have a antagonistic relationship with. But anyway,
speaking of not having antagonistic relationships, I've been watching a bunch of kind of dumb martial artist kind of stuff on YouTube. Some of it's been pretty interesting. There's this one guy, I think his name's Tim Larkin or something like that. And his whole philosophy, he teaches this whole system, does seminars and stuff. And he just wants you to damage. Don't think about technique or anything like that. he wants to make the point that you want to do damage when you do anything involving your martial art. And it's been pretty good to listen to those lectures, and it gets to you in terms of like, he only has like what he's trying to put over to these people that are wanting his expertise and information is like, you got 3 targets that you probably should only mess with, and that's the throat and the eyes and the groin. It's like, just go after that. It's like, put the hurt on somebody. Don't worry about the fact you can do a liver knockout. You probably won't pull it off. It takes a certain kind of snappiness to pull a liver knockout off. But he showed another one when he talked about the throat. There was a couple of Army guys that were messing around. The guy looked like he didn't hit the guy much harder than a slap, but it was with the bony part of the ridge of his arm. Oh, and that guy, you could tell he, it's a couple of Marines screwing around with each other, and you could tell there was no fake to it. He lost consciousness and slumped against the wall and slid down it. And it was obviously not even something that's going to leave a bruise. So
I have a friend, the guy I went to high school with, and he, after high school, he worked as a pizza delivery guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was on a porch, like the summer after high school. He was on a porch, and out of nowhere, some guy jumps him, and it was a guy. It was his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend.
Oh boy, he was going to get his. Yeah,
jumped him and started biting on his ear.
Jiminy. Well, see, that's one way to he went primal on him. Yeah.
Well, check out what my friend did. My friend reached behind him and grabbed the guy by the head and gouged his eye out.
Oh my God. Yeah. If you're going to damage me, I'm going to damage you.
So picture this. You're waiting for your pizza. Ding dong. Open the door. And
some guy launches himself in on you and goes cannibal.
Blood everywhere, man. He said, yeah.
Damn. Yeah, that's a funny story. A few years later, maybe.
Well,
he probably still has a hard time laughing at it.
My friend was laughing at it because I think everybody was okay. Now, my friend did end up getting in trouble, but he got out of it because it's like, well, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the door actually opened. When the guy opened the door, he saw that guy jump on him. You know what I'm saying? So I think there was a little bit of, well, this guy initiated it kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But
so then there's another guy.
Yeah.
That I'm watching that it looks like his usual shtick is to, tell you how to get ahead and be a Tony Robbins kind of guy. And that's his usual stuff. He's a Chinese guy. I'll send you some links if you're interested in any of this. But he's also a martial artist. And he's more like a Jeet Kune Do philosophy kind of guy. So he showed something that made me think again about like, hey, I can still protect myself, even if I don't have the snappiness of that I used to, and don't have high kicks or anything else like that. He showed that your fist is always like something that's going to break fairly often.
Yes.
And so he showed the option of basically palm strikes. And I watched him do palm strikes, went in there on my little double end bag, did a few. I said, you know what? This is something the guy needs to get coordinated at, and think about that being one of your first options on if you've got to hit somebody.
You talking about just like strike?
Yeah, just a real stiff arm, just like you throw a right hand punch. And if you throw that into somebody's nose or into their neck or whatever, you're probably going to have a good effect. And the other thing would be, even if it's a ridge hand, if that goes into a guy's neck just
Yeah,
right,
bro.
that could, yeah, you could do some damage. But even there, you'd probably want to try to get down to the bone versus your the hand part of your hand.
Yeah.
Barry Barris, Heavens Reject logos. I agree. Your choice will look best on the cover. Yeah, that was from Barry. I just had an email arrive
Oh,
on
good
my
deal.
on my iPad since I just happened to be using it. I'll tell you what his whole reply says. I agree. Your choice will look best on a cover, but that upside down T as a cross looks very vintage Hammers films. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And Barry knows his vintage Hammer films.
yep. Yep. Uh uh
Speaking of
I'm look
Barry, I watched a movie he was able to put in my
yeah.
hands, Ace in the Hole.
Oh yeah. I got a copy of that. I mean
Uh
I
huh.
so
Yeah.
what's
What?
that
No, I'm
about?
just kidding. I'm kidding.
Woo! Oh,
Yeah, no, no. Yeah. Barry shares stuff with us. And, yeah, I watched it and then I was really curious because it took me like 3 nights to take it in because it just wasn't hooking me as much as it could. And plus the fact that I was just a little bit pushed away from it by the what's going on. It's not a. And what's funny, it's a Billy Wilder film that he'd
oh
just come off of Sunset Boulevard, had a huge
wait.
success, was given totally creative
Uh,
control, and so then this is the movie he does next, and it just totally flops at the box office. And for I imagine they all had the same reaction that I did. It was like, this doesn't really. What is it that's not grabbing me here? Because I'm looking at great acting, a very interesting story, but why is it not drawing me in? And I guess it's just the characters. They don't uh, they don't have a story you're as involved with as you would if you like the characters better. You know.
yeah. Yeah. So what's it about? Because I wasn't involved. I'm kind of or kind of tangentially involved in the early conversation about that. What's that movie about?
Oh, it's about a guy that Kirk Douglas. He's lost a few jobs as a reporter in his past, and now he's kind of bottomed out, and he ends up in New Mexico and pretty much has car trouble. It's interesting. There's the hand of fate once again, a la Sunset Boulevard with car trouble. That's kind of fun. I didn't. I just now noticed that, and and so he walks into this small newspaper office with the introduction. I'm $1,000 a week man. I'm about to save you $1,000. That's how he gets in the door. I'm going to save you $1,000. And he walks in and says, I usually get $1,000 a week. And he's willing to work for less. So, but anyway, what the movie is about, I'm trying to unspool the movie for you. No, it's about him getting this job, hating it, and we actually flash forward, and he runs across this event that they go down to check. Oh no, it just again, it's fate. It springs in their way, and it's a guy that just happens to have got in a cave in, and he realizes this is exactly what he's been looking for, that he can ride this story and get some attention and get a better job again. So that's the story in a nutshell.
No, it's kind of like the Simpsons boy in the cave or whatever.
It probably is exactly the Simpsons boy in a cave. I don't know because they're always doing homages of this and that.
Yeah. But anyway,
But anyway, like I say, I'll be interested whether or not it grabbed you when you finally get around to watching it.
yeah, I don't really have to
Because
say.
when I say it's got some great acting in it, it's got like moments in it where I said, "Man, these guys are knocking it out of the park here." Uh, Kirk has got a scene where his drinking. They say, show me, don't tell me."
Yeah.
In terms of the way to do things, we see his drinking problem one time. It just takes like 5 seconds where he walks into a room where he's got a couple, he's got some booze, and the way he walks around that booze,
Oh yeah.
he's treating it like a rattlesnake, and it's just real subtle. But at the same time, you say, "Man, this is something else here." I get it. I get everything they want to tell me here. And then they got an actress that Kirk slaps her. I tell
Oh
you
yeah.
what, they've got a long shot of her after he slaps her, and it's like I think she goes through some of the most visible, obvious emotions after that slap that just kill her. Just great. It makes you wonder how many takes did they do, but
Yeah.
it's something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, Billy Wilder. He's it's
He's,
interesting to read about him. Of course, I saw that little mini documentary on him not too long ago. It's
oh yeah.
Ace in the Hole. I guess I haven't seen that since I was. It came out. I think it's 1960. So if I saw it as early as I could see it on TV, I was probably much older than 10. And I saw it, and I do remember where I saw it. I saw it in Arkansas, same place I saw my first Star Trek. And I saw it on a TV that just, we used to call it snow, just really poor reception to where it's just
Yeah.
the screen is half composed of noise. So that's the only other way I've seen it. And of course, it's a beautiful film. I mean, it looks great.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, yeah, it's worth your time. It made me think about that era, that whole Sunset Boulevard of a guy getting to do everything, anything he wanted, and then following up with something that loses money. That's almost totally predictable that a guy would do that.
That's there's a lot of Hollywood like that for
Oh
sure.
yeah, it's like that William Goldman, the screenwriter that did Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, wrote. He says nobody knows anything. In terms of like being able to tell you as an expert what's going to be a hit and what's not.
Oh, absolutely. I think about that all the time in my comic book.
You never know what this launches you into next. Your Heaven's Rejects. This may you
Yeah,
guys may get a lot more Hollywood attention than you're anticipating. Who knows?
that would be okay. I wouldn't. I'm not working towards that. I mean, I'm not one of these. It wasn't generated as a pitch for that, but
But it
the
may.
publisher has made some movies out of some of their stuff.
Uh-huh.
Nothing, but everyone gets a little bit bigger, and they have the ability to do that.
They know some names and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a track record, and they have an agent or whatever you need to get that kind of stuff done. But who knows? That'd be phenomenal if it happened.
I don't know if you've seen the YouTube video I did, Scott, of where I unboxed Doug's black and white Earthworm Jim book. Did you see that?
I saw the video, but I saw the video was up, but I haven't watched it.
Okay. Yeah, I got that book. It's pretty cool because Doug's got 13 essays in it, and they were good reading. He's got some, like you say, when you want, who do you want to read? Do you want to read somebody that is got a super vocabulary that floats all kinds of complex stuff
Yeah.
over to you? Or do you want to read a guy like Doug is always self-effacing and says, like, I'm an idiot and it has to be really simple before I can do it. So when he starts explaining how his mind works for that for the sake of simplicity, it goes right to you. You say, hey, I get it. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. And for instance, like how he does stories relates directly to the 5 shades of gray that you were taught in school. And he quotes some guy that relates storytelling to the colors that you have. But when you think about it, it's like, you got white, black, and 50% gray. So that's your beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
and then your 25% and 75% grays are the little kicks that get you from the beginning to the middle to the end. Those have got to have they're a little kind of a mechanical thing that has to go on to make the story move. And that really simple notion is kind of fun. Say, okay, now all I have to remember about, obviously beginning, middle, and end is easy enough, but thinking that little extra of the grays between the parts of your structure, that's kind of cool. It instantly goes in and it's not going anywhere. You'll always have it.
Yeah. That almost reminds me of what you told me. Hey, put a conflict on every page.
Right.
Right. It's just kind of it's
yeah.
It's just like when I draw a comic page, I was taught that you look at it and you go, okay, do I have at least one panel that shows the character's feet on this page? Do I have a down shot? Do I have a long shot? Do I, some of that kind of stuff? Do I have a close up? And you don't have to stick to that super well, but if you build that, if you build in a checklist, then it helps you keep that in there, and you can deviate from it, but deviate from it on purpose.
Yeah. I have a couple of notions, a to-do list on your comic book page. Yeah. Can I ask you? You whip by something like "have feet" on the page. What does that relate? What's that?
Like this.
Okay.
So okay, because a lot of comics, if you look at them, and the writer's being lazy, there's no full figure shots of the character on the page.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying is, are
you mean if the artist is being lazy? Okay.
Yeah. Did I say the writer? The art.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If the artist is not necessarily being lazy, but just not thinking,
Well, I always hear that people say, "Oh, that guy can't draw feet because he's always leaving them out." But there's a
how could
there's also the thing of like, do I want them looking at the feet? You want people looking at what you want them to look at.
Yeah, but if you're in storytelling, you shouldn't. I don't think you should have every shot be a medium shot or a close-up shot.
No, you shouldn't. No,
get
used to the idea of backing out and doing some kind of abstraction of just how small you get. I forget what I was looking at the other day that I couldn't believe, because he had blown up some of his figures that were incidental, and you could tell just how little he had to work in terms of like drawing them. They're just basically thumbnail level.
I've seen that occasionally in comics where they and I've seen it in I see it a lot in people that work digital, and you're
Uh-huh. Oh
like
yeah.
they've repeated that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. That is probably cheating just a little too much to say, okay,
well,
I know I can copy this, but then the other things I've been watching on YouTube is concept artists, and there's this one guy. He's got two four-letter names, and he has convinced me to almost always try to work in have floating over my stuff a little bit of photo reference that I want in,
uh,
and learn how to use that with masks. And even though that sounds totally like cheating, by the time you're done with it, nah, you just you it's the same as using a worn out brush for texture. It's just there to use the tool.
so in high school, I had a good friend, and he passed away a couple of years ago. But his daughter is a junior in high school, and she wants to draw. She wants to be an artist, and so she's always sending me stuff. She's always asking me, "Is it cheating to do this? Is it cheating?" And it always makes me laugh because it's like,
Yeah,
who
don't worry about cheating.
yeah, who are you cheating? Now she is
Yeah.
talking about doing a portfolio for school for submission to a college, and I'm
Yeah,
like, well,
we're worrying about growth, becoming dependent on how you do things. That's you can worry about that as a cheat, but
well,
don't worry about it.
oh yeah, which I mean, I'm glad that she thinks like that, I guess, but then I'm also like, because she well, because what I'm trying to get her to understand is because she copies a lot of anime kind of stuff. She
Hmm.
draws in real anime style, and I'm trying to get her to think more about a solid figure than just the icons for the features and the shapes and
Sure.
stuff. You know,
Just
um,
almost
better.
everybody needs to dip into some life drawing at some point if you're going to be an artist. Just get to where you've got a whole bunch of studies laying around where you went to the
Yeah,
trouble of studying the figure. You know.
yeah, I agree. In fact, somebody Michelle's roommate in college is an artist. She's really good. In fact, we bought one of her paintings that we have in our
Hmm.
living room, and she's always telling me she's always going to life drawing here, and she's like, "Oh, you should come," uh, and I never do.
Well, I say I'm the same way. Of course, all that stuff is shut down right now, no doubt.
No, no, no. There are life drawing classes going on still.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Uh,
my only problem with the life drawing thing, my real problem with it is that it takes it takes an evening, and what I ran into is you go and it'd be like, okay, we're gonna start at 7, so by 7:30 you'd be drawn, and there'd be like a 15-minute coffee break at
yeah.
8, and then the model come back for 30 minutes. I mean, you would spend all evening, you get about an hour's worth of drawing, you
Hmm.
know. Or and then like she's a painter, so she paints at life drawing. And
So
it's
yeah,
like, well,
so it's always
same
set
time.
up with just one pose. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I want multiple. I mean, I'm more about gesture and volume.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
You need to you have to get around somebody that specializes in that sort of education where they give you
yeah.
a class like a gesture drawing to where you don't have to worry about being stuck with one pose. Yeah,
And so if it's just going to be that, I'm almost like, well, there's YouTube channels, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know I'm not
Person,
a fan,
yeah.
but
You're right about that. I could be doing all the figure drawing I want to do from YouTube and stuff like that.
oh, absolutely.
I just watched In a Lonely Place. I'm not crying. You're crying. Yeah, In a Lonely Place is a weird Bogart movie. Nasser's joined us,
Oh, okay. Hey,
and so has Natasha International. I just realized it was Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
In
right
a
on.
Lonely Place is a pretty interesting. Bogart's got a scene where he almost kills a guy in a road rage incident. It's
Oh really?
pretty intense for Bogart. It's like you're not used to him being a guy that's not kind of got his cool a little bit. He's not somebody that's played a whole lot of hot headed parts, and he can do it. That's for sure. He can. I guess when you think about Treasurer Sierra Madre, he's a little bit out of control there, but
Or maniac.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Nasser, he did an unboxing today where he pulled out off the top ace in the hole, and he's probably the one that got me going about
Like,
ultimately getting it, rounding it up myself. And he also had the vanishing, which is forget. I think it's Swedish, but it's a pretty cool flick.
oh yeah. Have you seen? Oh God, what's the Mickey? There's a Mickey Spillane movie on Prime. I can't. My gun is quick.
Yeah, my goodness, quick. Yeah, that one has got. I've got actually got a clip from that on my other YouTube channel where he drives around L.A. for about 15 minutes,
Oh yeah.
trailing a guy. But that guy was probably, when you come with when you think of Mike Hammer's, his body type was pretty good for Mike Hammer. He looked like a tough guy.
Yeah.
Versus Mickey Spillane played him as well. He
Oh,
played
we
Mike
did.
Hammer. Yeah, I think it was called the Girl Hunters. I think so.
The,
Oh, interesting. Chumperino says it's annoying. Almost all figure drawing content has been blasted off YouTube
oh
because
really?
they can't distinguish between tasteful artistic nudity and porn. Well, yeah, nudity is like, I think I just horrified an aunt one time when I told her, yeah, yeah, we always had nude models, and that was apparently something that she just couldn't wrap her mind around. And
Oh yeah.
it's like, no, you pay these people that they don't think anything about it. You're used. What's weird is people that have either got great bodies and they're probably nude half the time in terms of like at least halfway nude working out or whatever. And then you got guys and girls that just have awful bodies, but they're into the idea of being the model, you know.
Yeah. I think they're into the money.
Yeah, they're in the money, but also they're also at ease, and I've seen some great models that just had awful bodies, you know.
Yeah, we
You
used
know,
to have
I'm talking when I say awful. I'm usually it's code word for fat. You know, hola, you knuckleheads, Fly Fox Perot.
hey,
He was doing something interesting the other day. I saw, and I can't
oh,
tell you what it was because I
you
slipped
slept.
right on. The left are the new '90s Christian Puritans in many ways. Yeah, they've got so many things they're ready to cancel you out about that. Yeah, they do seem puritanical. Scott has a wonderful head of hair, but it's
Oh,
triggering me.
that
It's triggering me because I'm balding. Yeah,
hey,
I've got a
I
bongo skin on the top of my head too.
that's funny you say that because I don't want to say I'm vain, but I very I acknowledge that I'm fortunate to have to be in my early 50s and have a very thick head of hair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Hey,
great, but
that
it's there.
sounds like a good way to get yourself cursed too. It'll all just be on the pillow
Oh well,
sometime next week.
that's okay.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
okay.
Most of my male relatives have it's certainly on my mother's side, had a full head of hair. So
Nasser says, I'll go to a chick's nude figure drawing just to draw stick figures. He's going to pull a Beavis and Butthead, just be there.
I know. I've seen people like that. Our friend DL did that.
Really?
He was going with me to the fairgrounds for a while.
Just wanted to make sure that this nude stuff was happening, huh?
Yeah, he wanted to check it out for puritanical purposes.
Sure,
yeah. So I got a funny story. When I was going to the so at the fairgrounds here was the one of the art museums, and they had it was just on the fairgrounds whatever you call property, but there art museum, and it's moved since then, but that's where I went to a lot of my figure drawing because they had it, and it was $10 to go, which all went to the model. And you would tip the model. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it was not $10. You tipped the model. Your dues in the Oklahoma Art Guild paid for it, and
right.
They paid the model, I think they paid the model $60, which worked out to be like, I think it was like 2 or 3 hours, maybe. So $20 or $30.
Yeah,
not bad. So
not bad. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The money is a factor. It's not like the money's not a factor.
So what they did is it wasn't a school. There was no teacher, but there were people in charge, and they break it up. There were 4 of them, and the majority of the participants were male, but it certainly wasn't all male. Like Michelle's roommate was there for a while. So they would take turns. Well, one guy was an older guy, and he always had the same girl do it. And it was an older woman. I say older. She's, a couple years old, probably my age now, but this was, 10 or 15 years ago. And she was kind of not what you would think of. Let's put it that way. But she's super nice, and she did it. She worked at a clothing store, and she did it. I think she did because she wanted needed the money or whatever, liked the money, but she also liked the art. She was really into the art. She'd always go around and look and see what we were doing, and she was just and she was very unself-conscious about that, and not as bad as some of them, but didn't seem to bother her. Did it a lot. That guy always used her. And then there were a couple of guys that would use her and some different girls. And it was always girls when I was there. I'm not really sure why. I think it's easier to get girl models around here. But then there was one guy who was a single guy, and he was a retired plastic surgeon, and he was an artist.
Interesting, yeah.
And he was one of the guys that got models, and he got a different model every time, and it was always a girl. It was always a young girl, like a college age girl.
Right.
Be careful about young girls. College age girl, but by far his were the youngest. And he always introduced her as it's my niece. It was always weird, and it's like, this is not your niece, There was no way it was his niece. I mean, everyone he got was always knockouts. I don't know where he got them from.
Yeah, that was the guy that was the concept artist. I learned, it's like being a friend of Doug's has these benefits of like stuff I would never acquire without knowing somebody that is somehow got his nose to the grindstone. This one guy that really got me into oil painting and the whole school, the Riley stuff. It's because I worked with him at a video game place, and he is the guy that with the passion. And so by extension, I learned more from him and being around him because he's pursuing all this stuff, and he always knew who was teaching the cool figure drawing classes in town. And when we say town, we're saying LA. And there's a guy, and his name will come to me maybe. He did the concept art for Conan, and he's very well known, and he has a regular class, and that's what made me think of it. You talking about the always has stunners. That's why
Yeah.
all these guys went to his thing because they were always stunners at his studio when he had his own little figure drawing. So it was a kind of an e-ticket or whatever when he was having his figure drawing. What is his name?
I
It's
got
not Ron. It's
book.
not Ron Cobb. Even though
Oh,
that is
Ron
no, it's
was it?
another guy, William something. He also did the concept art for the Invaders from Mars, the new one. I can't think of his name. I'll look it up sometime.
So,
Let's
so here's
see. Let's see if I've missed any messages. My paternal grandfather had great hair. My maternal family balding. Yeah, yeah.
his
You
paternal.
get it. You get a mix.
Yeah.
Anybody know
So
what D and Q is tonight? I do not. They had an interesting last week, which it's slipping my mind. Yeah, male, female, or male. I guess that's probably Dr. Seuss. That'd be a good one. Yeah.
yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know if you
I
can see.
am. I'm using digital Xander's rants. Oh yeah. You're looking at your figure drawings. Yeah.
Yeah, I have my. Yeah, I don't know. These are not. I don't know which ones. This looks like early stuff
Yeah.
because I'm looking, and a lot of this is gesture.
Did I read Doug's book yet? Yeah, I read every one of his essays. I read all the text in it. It was like I say, I was talking to Scott earlier about some of the wisdom of Doug is based on he's modest and he says I'm an idiot and for me to do stuff it has to be simple. Well, if you're reading a book by Doug that's telling you how to do stuff, he's reduced it to simple items. He's very helpful. Is Ellis getting Alzheimer's? Yes, 67. Yep.
You're getting
You're going to get Ellis banned, Scott? No, you aren't. I doubt it.
Oh yeah, I might if I yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, these are terrible.
Well, it's cool to have the sketchbook, isn't it? It's cool to have these little tracks in time right there in your book.
Yeah, this is the one girl that the older lady because she had real short hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like say you've got that figure right there in front of you, and you can say, okay, simple or what? What am I looking at here?
I always worked as fast as I could because I was always worried about just getting the gesture down.
There's a good one. Yeah, I tell you what, any model that always gives you a little bit of twist or something, that's what sets the good ones apart.
See,
and we're talking about the fat or the ugly bodies. The fat bodies. That's what if you're doing your figure drawings at Disney, they're pretty often hiring those fat ones. Because that's great to draw. It's more fun. Doug was pulling a Chesterton the first view essay. Kind of hard for me to follow. But I have a reading disability, like the one he talked about the sea in the Bible. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, he's talking about myth again, and about the fact that we need that kind of stuff. He's just talking about the. I was struck though how much good I got out of a lot of his little essays in there. Hey, there's a good one. Got Gravity working on her, and that's good. You made that little note about where exactly should a line stop. You've got a little lost line as it wraps around her form, and you're only going to, you're going to make these decisions about. Now, if you were in the, if you were being coached by somebody that was giving you the old Riley method, he'd want you to, hit that with your light, your shadow, and your lights maybe a little harder. Unify those shadows when you hit her with them. Now, that's interesting. You really had a lot of
I,
time on that one, huh?
yeah, this must have been like a 30-minute pose or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's okay. The I mean, to me, the value of this kind of stuff for me is learning to see what a pose looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out how somebody can move.
Yeah.
Another long one.
This, in terms of like sharing what I'm up to on this, in terms of like inventing a figure, I'm not being too precious. I'm using a rake to draw with, and that's not going to allow me to draw anything like
Right.
fingers or fingernails or anything. I'm just going to have the big shapes, and getting that big shapes, that big silhouette right. That's what I really want before I come over the top of it with some notions about detail. So it's kind of one way to do a thumbnail without it being small is to say, okay, there's still no detail here, but it's
Yeah, that's the beauty of working digital, or one of the beauties of
yeah,
working
yeah,
digital.
yeah.
This didn't bad.
Well, I'd get up and show you mine, but I'm not going to because too much effort is involved. I don't know why I'm
Here in the studio. Two of them.
yeah.
I think these are this big book. It's like 14 by 17. And I think I went to a smaller book. And then I got to where, well, I'll tell you a story. You talked about your aunt that was horrified.
Yeah.
I got to where I was just taking my regular sketchbook, and I had it somewhere. I think it was like a church or something, and somebody was flipping through it. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking at these pictures of naked women. It's like,
Yeah.
whatever. The only person in the entire planet that I care about what they think about it is my wife, and
Mm-hmm.
she don't. So
she's bugged by it. Yeah.
yeah, she's bugged by it. I mean, if she told me I don't like it, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
It's not bad. A little elongate. I tend to elongate the figure.
Yeah. It's part of trying to make it appealing, probably in your mind. Yeah.
No, I think it's just part of not knowing what I'm doing.
Well, yeah, like I say, my
This isn't
tired
bad.
definition of drawing. Drawing is measuring,
Yeah.
and it's like get how long everything is, get it right.
It's funny all the different tools I used. This one's good. Uh-oh. Is that the end? Oh, that's the end of this book. I may tear those out and use this book for something else. I think that's all. One of my sketchbooks has a bunch that are pretty good, but I can't remember which one it is. That may be all. Hard to store those sketchbooks.
Here's that book you acted like you wanted to buy of mine one time. Of course, these aren't live studies. These are just drawings.
What book is that?
But this is like the value of copying. I could tell just by looking at this. This was probably me copying some Kirby. I don't know. That might be yes. It might be something I did, but I don't think so. Yeah, I can tell right now that I'm copying Kirby because I got another one I know I didn't do. There's something I did. Mine are always a little wonky, but obviously I didn't have a figure model for that. But my ability to invent the figure might come from a lot of miscellaneous figure drawing sessions. It helps anyway.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Fly Fox Pro. I put a lot of time in those. Those are actually my earlier books. I kind of got tired of carrying the big book. I got more. I for a while I put some of those in my portfolio, and then it was like, I enjoyed doing it, but it's one of those things that it just takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. You gotta drag materials around and stuff.
Oh yeah, and it was at the fairgrounds, which is midway between my house and my work. So I'd leave work and then kill a little bit of time and then get there. There wasn't really enough time to go home and go back, halfway to work. And so it just got to be a nuisance.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Well, really what happened is, I'll tell you what happened. You talk about your whoever it was that said the moralist and the Puritans or whatever. What happened, somebody decided that they didn't have, they decided we don't have enough people participating. So they thought, well, what can we do? And they said, well, we'll open it up to all ages. For some reason, this is funny that this is people's solution to when they say, well, we have lagging membership or lagging readership. So they say, the problem is everyone that's doing this is getting old. So immediately they go, well, we need new readers, new blood. And so immediately they go from all these retired people to we need high school kids.
Yeah.
It's like comics. They don't go after, they go after, well, we need, grade school kids.
And then they probably shocked their existing audience, huh? Right. Yeah.
Well, what happened? No. What happened is they decided, okay, well, in order to reach high school kids, we can't have new models. So they immediately went to every other week would be a clothed model. And I'm like, well, I can go to the library and draw this.
Yeah.
And there were several people that were doing paintings. So they would do one pose for all, I guess it was 2 hours. It was 7 to 9. And I was just like, between all that, I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I know where my other ones are. I'll show you the good ones before we go.
Okay.
The better ones.
Oh.
Let's see. It's one of these two sketchbooks. So I have these paperback sketchbooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nasser's got to go. We'll see you, Nasser. Enjoy Ace in the Hole. I'll be interested in your reaction to it.
No, here we go.
Okay.
So I thought some of these were pretty good.
You got to bring them up a little higher if you want everybody to see them. Farther, when I say higher, I mean up your. Yeah, there we go. That direction.
Okay, so
north. Yeah.
I thought these were decent.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's very challenging. Yeah. Get some foreshortening. That's what what a guy needs. He needs foreshortening, and he needs his calligraphy and his draftsmanship. He needs a lot of things, and that life drawing. Oh, look at that! That's a nice one.
Yeah.
Again,
that's what I say. I got better as I went along. When I had time.
I think if they had to get around a worry about nudity, put somebody in some sort of really tight cat suit.
Yeah, see,
with some nice markings on it, where you can get some practice out of doing that. Like I say, that measuring.
Who was the body guy that had the suit that had the muscles on it?
Yeah, see that sort of, you'd get a lot out of that.
Okay, so we had one. Okay, so we had this one model, and this was her. I remember this. This was her 1 week, and then the next week, she was. Hang on, I don't want to show you this. I want to reveal. So next week I came and they did a long pose, and she was wearing clothes, right?
Yeah.
So, but I had drawn her naked the week before, so I did this, and she was still in the same pose, so I drew her naked again.
That's interesting.
I had drawn her the week before.
You need to scan those and animate it.
But yeah, so I was carrying this to class for a while. Oh, I was using red. I think that looks pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could drag mine out, but it's like say it's in another room. What else was I gonna say about figure drawing in general?
I think that's it. But yeah, like I said, at one point, and I've got more, but just at one point, I was like, I'm putting them in my sketchbook. You know, it's 8, so I need to go. But there was a girl I would. That's funny. You know, I draw. I think you said Nasser's garden.
Yeah,
No. Anyway.
Natasha International.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. There you go. Okay. When I draw figures in my sketchbook now, because I said that was the book that somebody flipped through and was like, "What?" But I will draw. A lot of times I'll draw them naked, and then I'll draw like a superhero costume or a bikini on them or something.
Right.
Just
yeah, it's funny to think about all the skin tight costuming and comic books. Of course, are saying that they're nudes. That's what an artist like a Wallywood or somebody like that is going to dig drawing is nudes.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're trained
but
with.
Do your color separations on them and call that a costume.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay, I guess we're done here. Everybody, thanks for joining us. They all came in at the exact same time of late, but that's my fault. That's my fault. I should promote this thing.
Yes, you should.
Did you want to say anything else, Scott?
I was going to talk to you after the recording ended.
Okay.
My numbers on my YouTube channel have really been going up, so thank you for that. I don't know how many people are subscribed to me, but I appreciate that. And I have put up a little bit of content. I'm gonna start. I have so many drawing books. I'm gonna start reviewing drawing books. I think fairly regularly on YouTube.
That's a real good idea. Yeah, I would expect. Are you going to stream them, or are you going to edit them?
I will record them and not edit them.
Okay, you will just stream. Okay, because you know what? I think it really punches stuff up to go ahead and edit your stuff. Every time I take the trouble of editing something, I say, I just did something that's better for my channel because I edited it.
I don't have a video editor.
Yeah, you say that. I imagine there's one out there for you within easy reach if you could figure it out. I can't believe that Bill Gates doesn't give you something that will edit movies just in terms of like your install on your OS. I can't believe it.
Well, 7, so he hates me. So
yeah, I know the Macs. You just couldn't imagine not having just a ton of fun software when you buy a Mac. Okay, I guess we're done.
Okay.
And you guys, yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week, probably.
Yes.